G'day, mate. My name's Dave, and I'm a professional kangaroo hunter. Oh, I hope that don't hurt your feelings. You ever hunted kangaroo, mate? I didn't think so. Oh, that's me with Big Bertha sticking out the window. Got a couple of nice ones that night, I did. Oi, mate, me old girlfriend. Or at least she went quick. I take comfort in that. Oi, mate, I had to get out of the goose business, I did. A damn kangaroo came in one night and kicked the shit out of every one of them. Not even fit to eat. I stumbled upon this article as I was perusing the internet, and naturally the title caught my attention. 10 assumptions people need to stop making about law enforcement officers, because heaven forbid we make assumptions about law enforcement officers. I think we ought to stop making assumptions about law enforcement officers. Frankly, I found the title a bit authoritarian. Well, I wanted to go through these assumptions, these 10 assumptions with you guys, and kind of pick your brain and see what you think from your perspective. And of course, I'll have my perspective as retired law enforcement, and we'll just kind of see how it plays out. Assumption number one, political affiliation. Many people assume that all police officers are gun-loving Republicans. Wrong. Well, okay. Way back in ninth grade in Mr. Brose's What's That You Say English class, he said, don't use all misstatements. All, every, always. That's ridiculous. And most probably are gun-loving Republicans. What's wrong with that? Assumption number two, that cops signed up for this job, so they should accept being hated or hurt. Well, I don't think they have to accept being hurt, but they darn well better accept being hated. And whose fault is that? Let's see, number three, the third assumption that all cops get divorced. And you see, they're right back to the allness statement. That's right. I believe that all cops get divorced. Well, and then they go on to say this is an incredibly false statistic. It's not a statistic. It's a statement. Next, number four, that law enforcement officers won't stand up against the bad cops. And then they have here, you guessed it, also wrong. The good cops hate the bad cops just as much as you do, and they will stand up against them. We're still waiting. But come on, if it were all about stopping bad cops, why do states have to enact laws that force cops to intervene when an officer is way out of line? Shouldn't have to enact a law. This should come naturally. And look at all the examples of officers who really get away with doing egregious things, and one of the reasons is because command staff sweeps it under the rug. Well, we investigated ourselves, and we have concluded we've done nothing wrong. You know, I know, we know that this is one of the biggest gripes that people have about the current condition of contemporary American law enforcement. It won't hold itself accountable, and that pisses people off, and rightfully so. Pisses me off. How are you supposed to rein this monster in when you won't even hold yourselves accountable? I think it's ironic that those who hold us accountable refuse to hold themselves accountable. I mean, let's just look at a couple of cases out in Colorado. Of course, Elijah McClain, what those three officers from the Aurora, Colorado Police Department did to him, when in fact they didn't have the lawful authority to detain Elijah because he hadn't committed a crime. Somebody had reported he was sketchy. And what they did contributed to his death directly. But they were exonerated throughout the entire chain, the entire government chain, through that whole rotten and corrupt judicial system. Or what happened in Loveland, Colorado to Karen Garner. She was the 70-something-year-old grandmother who had dementia. And their officers just beat the hell out of her. Broken arm, tore her shoulder up, left her chained to a bench in a cold jail cell for 6 hours, ignored every plea she made for medical because of the pain she was in, and throughout that entire period, they just laughed at her. They laughed at her, and they laughed about how they hurt her. And how did the Loveland PD command staff adjudicate that whole thing? Oh, nothing to see here. The use of force that our officers used against her was justified. Number five, that cops are angry. They are angry. How do we know they're angry? Well, don't they suffer from all sorts of health issues? And then there's the DV stuff and significantly higher rates of self-deletion. Number 6, that police officers write the laws. Well, I don't know who the people are who think that police officers write the laws. They just make them up, or they misapply them, or they misinterpret them, or, gee, I want to make an arrest, so I'm just going to go ahead and accuse you of a crime that you didn't commit. And what about the, I'm giving you a lawful order? It's a lawful order. I get to speak it and it becomes law. I get to be God and you have to obey. I'm the 11th commandment. The issue isn't that they write laws, the issue is how they enforce them. Number 7, that law enforcement officers are racist. This is one I think I'm going to just kind of stay away from. I was twice accused of being a racist when I was a game warden. Both times it was when I was stationed in Sioux Falls. And it was completely unjustified, unfounded. They just didn't like the fact that I was white. That's what it came down to. So I'm going to move on from this one. Number 8, that cops are tattletales. Well, I don't know about that, but they sure rely on tattletales. Their names are Karen and Darren. Assumption number 9, that their lives revolve around the job. That's not an assumption, that's cold hard fact. Number 10, that police officers can get you out of a ticket. Well, yeah, that is an assumption, except when it comes to other police officers. Then they can get them not only out of a ticket, they can get them out of jail. They can get them out of trouble. They can get them out of a lot of things. Oh, that's the thin blue line. All right, we're back at the beginning. So let's all say this together. 10 assumptions people need to stop making about law enforcement officers. There's your marching orders.